This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 461 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our sponsors this week are horselovers.com and Uncle Jimmy. Coming up on today's show, we meet the fascinating Knight of the Templar. Her name, that's right, it's her name, is Chrissy Miller, and she's coming on to talk to us a little bit about being a light armored jouster. This is right up my alley, Helena, from my old days.
It's right up my alley.
Yeah, I can see you doing this. So she's going to talk to us about competitive jousting and what her life is like since she took up the sport. It's kind of a fascinating story, and we're looking forward to chatting with her about that. Also, Celeste is coming on, one of our auditors, to talk about the Ovation Ladies Athletica Euro Seat Rider Tights.
Can't we get a product that doesn't have 107 syllables?
Can't we get a grooming brush? You know, like a hoof pick to review.
Hoof pick, yeah.
All right, let's get on with the show.
You're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show, where hosts Glenn and Helena guide you through some of the horse world's most fascinating stories. Owning and loving horses means there's always a story to tell. It may be funny, exciting, or inspiring, but it will almost always be fascinating. Join us for The Scoop each week as we tap into the stories that are woven into everything we do, at the barn, at home, and everywhere in between.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B. And you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Well, howdy, Helena. Did I see pictures of you riding your pony this week?
Yes, sir. I'm riding everywhere. Yes, Brody is back home. And we've been trying to keep up with
a field trip, didn't he?
Our schedule. Yeah, I took him out for a hack. He's been doing a lot of ring work lately, so I thought it would be nice. And it was still just a wee bit squishy here, so I took him out for a nice little road hack. And we got Dog out as well, because Dog's been sitting around doing nothing. And when he does nothing, his age starts to show. So we put him under saddle and went for a little hack down
Isn't
the road.
that amazing, though, what you just said, right? Is they do need a little bit of work when they get older.
Definitely. Yeah. He's better mentally. He's better physically. His manure looks better when he's in light work. So, so Brody needed a little brain vacation and Dog needed to get his body moving. And of course, it was incredibly therapeutic for me.
And how'd it go?
It went really well. It's very different to hear the sound of Brody's feet hitting the pavement when he's got shoes on.
Oh, clickety clack.
It's much louder, so we can't be all stealthy and sneaking up on those bicycle riders.
Do they sneak up on you, or are they respectful or not?
No, they sneak up on us all the time. They don't know any better.
Right.
They don't know any better. So,
well, cars don't either. They drive by and they toot their horn thinking that's going to let you know they're coming.
Yeah. Actually, the people have been, thankfully, the last, dozen or so times we've hacked out on the road, the cars have been pretty good. My biggest problem with cars is how fast they go. So,
and you don't exactly have wide shoulders in New England on most roads.
If there's and especially in Little Compton, because it's so wet here, the soft shoulders have been devoted to swales. So we need a place for all the water to collect and run off. So instead of having a flat rideable soft shoulder, a swale is like a gully.
We're so spoiled in our neighborhood here with our 30-foot shoulders on both sides.
The good thing though about Little Compton is you can make a left or a right off of any road pretty much and go down somebody's driveway. And before you even get to the house, you've had, a half mile.
Before they kick you out.
Yeah. I was like, I do that ask for forgiveness thing. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize this was someone's house.
And you can go to the beach. Are you allowed to ride to the beach this time of year, or is it too crowded?
There's nothing that says you can't ride on the beach, but if it's crowded, they'll kick you off. So if I went down at say 6:00 in the morning, there would be no problem.
Right.
But if I went anytime after 7 where people and their dogs would be there, then somebody would be like, you can't, it's just not a good idea. And I would feel horrible if we stepped on somebody.
Would you have to clean up after yourself at the beach? Or the horse, I meant, not yourself.
You should. There have been times where I thought I had to clean up after myself. Yes. Yeah. There are no rules. It doesn't say no horses. So we kind of keep everything that we do on the down low, because once you start to,
you start
get on
leaving
people's
piles
radars
everywhere, they're going to want you off the beach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, if our horse does leave manure behind, we come and pick it up.
Yeah, that's a good thing. You should anyway. But
I mean, if it's in the water and the tide is gonna wash it out, no. But if it's on the beach or in the parking lot, for sure.
let's remind everybody that if they would like to own a farm in Little Compton, Rhode Island, about a mile from the beach, a classic 1970s era, 1970s, 1790s, was it?
1770.
Oh, geez. If you want a house that was through the Revolutionary War, then we got one for you. It's been updated, right? It has electric.
It's been updated. Yes,
plumbing.
we have plumbing. We have plumbing.
It's kind of a cool old New England house, though, because the doorways, you could just tell this house was built back then and modernized.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but it still has all the character of the old Revolutionary War house.
Oh, the floors are original. We have 3 fireplaces. Those are all original.
Do they work? Are they working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We only use one because we don't really need to use the others, but yeah.
How many acres does that farm have?
We owned 2 acres, but there is an abutting 18 acres, which we have permission to use for turnout and riding.
You do too. That's in the back field back there.
Yeah. How sweet is that? You pay taxes on 2 and you get to use 18.
And there's a nice apartment up the barn. I mean, it's a nice property. And it literally is. Well, it's about a quarter mile from the ice cream stand and it's about a mile from the beach. So what more do you want?
And and this is what kills me. We have people looking at the house all the time. And I always say to the real estate agent, are they horse people? And she's like, not yet. And I'm like, you don't understand. This place is a horse lover's dream because it's so easy to take care of your horses here. To have your horses at home, it literally takes me 15 minutes a day to take care of my horses. You don't have to turn them out. They come and go as they please. It's just, yeah.
It's
so
and it's zoned
easy
for it.
Yeah. Well, it's a right to farm community, so it's very farmer friendly around here.
Where can people find it if they want to take a look at it?
Go to Zillow and type in zip code 02837.
02837.
Yep, and you'll find it. It's listed at $645,000.
Which in New England is like cheap.
Yeah, it actually is.
Yeah.
It actually is. Some of the other properties that have gone up around the price range were like, they're asking that $600 for that piece of junk. Oh my God, we should have put it on higher.
Fixer uppers.
I am kicking myself a little bit, but that's all right. It's all good. The universe will decide whatever has to happen is what will happen.
Very good. Well, good luck with that. Appreciate that. We've been getting some feedback from listeners about the new format over here, talking to fascinating people this year, and they all seem to be enjoying it. And I had counted about 20 posts, which you probably didn't even see because you don't scour it like I do, on Facebook talking about the interview I did of you as a youngster.
Oh.
People just love that. Remember I had done one of Wendy and I did one of you.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a filler to put in. Actually,
you were away.
Everybody, it was an afterthought. It was like, oh my God, we need a show. And so we were going on vacation and we put it, they loved the Wendy and Helena interviews of the early life. So the listeners are requesting that we do one of all the hosts. So you might have to interview Jennifer and I. Because it's going to be weird. I can't interview Jennifer. So you might have to do the interviews of Jennifer and I.
Okay.
For the early years. And, it was funny because they all said, it wasn't so horsey, but it made us realize how you got to where you are now as a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 So, and that was kind of cool. And you had the story about, your mafia family. And then Wendy had the story of her grandmother being a princess in China. So before the communists, I mean, the two of you, mine's going to be really boring. So I got to come up with some good relative I had along the way. But yeah, so we'll have to do that with the rest of the hosts too.
Okay.
It seemed
I think
to
it'd
be
be
a
great.
hit. And I want to remind
I-
everybody about the cruise, horseloverscruise.com. There's still time to get your cabin booked. It's only $200 to book your cabin, and the rest of the money is not due until November the 20th. So you got plenty of time to get the balance of the payment in and get your cabin booked. We have, I think it's close to 60 people booked now, 30 cabins.
That's great. That's 10 more than last week.
Yeah, so there have been people booking, and we hope to see you guys all on the ocean. And now it's time to go to our first guest, and we're going to do that right after we hear from Uncle Jimmy and his hanging balls.
Hello, folks. Uncle Jimmy here, and welcome to the world of Uncle Jimmy brand products, where funny names mean serious products. Featuring Uncle Jimmy's Squeezy Buns, the squeezably soft hand treat that your horse will love. The award-winning Uncle Jimmy's Hangin' Balls. Uncle Jimmy's Sugar-Free Ball. The incredible Licky Thing, also in sugar-free. The amazing Uncle Jimmy's Pecker Wrecker, and the Big Licky. The infamous Uncle Jimmy Hangin' Ball was first designed by me for my own horses to help reduce the bad habits which come from stall boredom. It now can be found around the world. This nutritious, flavored-filled boredom buster will help keep your horses occupied and happy around the clock. Properly hung, it will last for weeks, provided you don't let your horse pin it. And Uncle Jimmy knows who you are. The ball comes in 4 flavors: apple, carrot, peppermint, molasses, and now sugar-free. Once again, welcome to the world of Uncle Jimmy's brand products, where funny names mean serious products, and satisfaction is 100% guaranteed.
Well, Helena, you remember the days when Jennifer and I had the acting company, we did medieval feasts, and that we met at the Renaissance Fair and all that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and we had a blast doing that. You've seen all the pictures. You've been in our house and seen all our pictures in costume. And in our wedding, we had a medieval wedding.
And I used to go to the Renaissance Festival in Sterling Forest, New York, all the time, every year for years and years.
Didn't we go to a Renaissance Festival together when we lived up there? I think we did.
King Richard's Fair.
Yes, that's right, in Massachusetts. We went there together. So,
I think that was us.
but I love this stuff. So today's guest is just exciting me beyond, because I miss acting. I really do miss doing the Renaissance fairs. Jennifer, not so much, but I miss it. And one of these days I'm going to dig my costume out and head out to one and play for the day. But her name, that's right, it's a female knight. Her name is Chrissy Jo Miller. She is out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Hey, Chrissy Jo.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Well, Chrissy, our theme this year on the Stable Scoop Radio Show is fascinating guests who do fascinating things, and you're definitely qualified for that. Tell us about what happened 6 years ago when you decided to put your body on the line.
Sure. So 6 years ago, I met up with... I've always loved contact sports. I played soccer growing up, and I've been riding horses for 18 years. And I played polo at CSU for a long time, which is about as contact sport as I thought you could get on horseback. And then while I was studying theater, actually, at Colorado State University, I met a world champion jouster who was starting his own knight academy in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I'd always wanted to be a knight growing up. And I had heard that there were modern-day jousting competitions, so I met up with him to check it out. And I came out for one private jousting lesson and was totally hooked from the first time my shield got hit with a lance and I hit my opponent. And so from there on, I was training pretty much every day in the sport of contemporary jousting. And went to my first competition in Estes Park, Colorado. They have the Scottish-Irish Highland Festival up there every September in Estes Park, which is actually the largest purse prize right now for modern-day jousting competitions. And I competed for my first year there in 2012. So sorry, I guess it was 5 years ago I started. 2012, and I won
Whoa!
the Saturday tournament. Yeah, so that... it was exciting, and I found out that I could do it, and I just knew that was what I wanted to do every day.
How did you get inspired? What was the inspiration for wanting to become a knight? Did you read a story? Was there a movie, or was there a person that you met who lived this life?
Sure. So it was a book. I am a huge book reader, and there were actually 2 books in my life that kind of inspired me to start this. And the first one was a beautifully illustrated picture book that I had growing up called St. George and the Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
By Margaret Hodges.
I think we have that one.
Yeah, so that was one of my favorite books to read growing up, and I was always a little disenchanted with the fact that he rescues the princess on her white donkey, and I was kind of like, I want to fight the dragon. And then when I was 13, I discovered a British author, my favorite author actually. Her name is Robin McKinley. And she wrote a book called The Hero and the Crown. And that's about a young woman, Erin, who she defies all odds and stubbornly trains, and has an old war horse that she kind of nurses back to health. And when her kingdom's in peril and a great dragon comes, she goes out and fights it, regardless of what happens to her, in spite of all odds, and emerges triumphant. And that book kind of raised me and inspired me, because I was 13, and that was almost my role model of, oh my gosh, even though that was a literary figure, the seed was planted. And actually my character right now, when I perform in my theatrical troupe, is Lady Erin, kind of as an homage to that. So those are the 2 books that really kind of got the wheels turning.
Well, that leads to the question, in contemporary competitive jousting, are you fighting dragons?
Oh, they're different dragons. They're, one of the most interesting things about the sport that I face now that I've been doing it for 5 years consistently, is honestly just the psychological aspect of it. I got a degree in psychology while I was at CSU too, and that's one of the hardest things, because it is a sport, and when you get up to a certain level, it is sometimes so easy, even if you have the skill, even if you've been training and have the equipment and the horse. One of the biggest things that I had to really work on and overcome to be the captain of my own troop was I'd go to these tournaments, and my first year, I think I did so well because I was kind of the underdog. I had nothing to prove, and only forward to go. But now I show up, and there's a handful of BA young women out there every once in a while, but a lot of years that I've gone there, I'm the only woman, and they make a big deal about it, and the crowd gets really excited, and I'll be doing really well, and then I get psyched out, and that just really messes with my head. So that's kind of, this year I've been training every week of the year, and just to kind of defy. My goal is just to practice so hard that even I can't psych out myself. My body will just take over.
I can hear it in your voice, and muscle memory is important for any sport, but especially one where you do have the lance and where precision counts. Mm-hmm. So what? Mm-hmm. And having your horse in one with you definitely counts.
Yeah.
So now,
it's so important.
Tell us what's involved in contemporary jousting. I know you're not just running at each other with lances. There's other things involved, other games involved as well. So tell us about that.
Sure. So one of the prerequisites to actually get up to the joust itself, the joust being the most dangerous aspect of it, is you have the medieval mounted games, which kind of help you hone the different skills that it takes to be a successful jouster. And so I'm the owner and captain right now of the Knights of the Tempest, which is my theatrical troupe based out of Fort Collins. And I've been teaching clinic series during the summer. I'm teaching 2 clinic series this year, actually, starting in September. And so we go through the different medieval games, such as accuracy in throwing a spear off of a horse, accuracy in cutting mock opponent heads with a sword as you run past, and then collecting rings on the lance, and then also hitting the quintain with your lance, which, if any of you have seen A Knight's Tale, That's the spinning shield with the sandbag on the other end that knights use to help their lance targeting. So you run at the shield, hit it with your lance, and it spins around. And so those are kind of prereq things to help you with your accuracy and your strength. And then you go forward into the actual joust, where you are on your horse in a list, 2 lanes together in your armor and with your shield running at the other opponent, trying to deliver forceful blows to the opponent's shield.
No, forceful blows. I could get into that.
Yes.
So, tell us about the horses that you ride. Do you have a string of horses that you use all the time? How long have you been riding them? And does each competitor sort of bring their own horse to a match, or is it sort of like, musical horses?
Sure. I have a dream team right now. I do have a string of horses that are under my care right now that I put, because I have a jousting team, so I have students and teammates, and I got to get them a steed to ride. But yeah, I've got the dream team of horses right now. A lot of them I've known a long time, and I work them multiple times a week, and they all need something different. But right now I've got I have a 27-year-old Appaloosa gelding who is built like a racehorse and about as hot. And I've had him for 14 years. And he's the one. Actually, we're shooting a music video today for a Nashville band called Shell, and he knows all the tricks. So he rears and bows and strikes out with his forefeet. So he does the kind of tricks that you would see in a fantasy film. Because that's my goal. I would love to be the source in America for if someone's shooting a medieval movie, they know they can call me. And,
did you train him?
I did, yes. And so he's going to do that with me today. The other horse I'm riding in the music video today, so that's Cherokee. And then I have Lachlan, who is a 20-year-old quarter horse, solid black, also racing bloodlines. So these 2 guys are very large for light horses. And he's actually arguably one of the best light armor jousting horses in the world right now. He handles so nicely. He's my competition horse. He's just so light and can pick up that run from a standstill. And right now, since he's 20, he's getting older, he brings along, anyone can ride him. I teach lessons to an 8-year-old on him. He can take anyone through the sport. And I actually just adopted a Mustang from the Bureau of Land Management. And
nice.
So yeah, because
you're looking at a BLM Mustang. What about this horse says to you, "Give me a shot. I could be part of your program"?
Yeah. Well, because so the first 2 I just mentioned, they're over 20, so I needed to start bringing along my new one. And on a jouster's salary, I have approximately $125 to spend on a horse.
Right.
Okay. And
I remember those days.
Yes. And I'd always wanted to train a Mustang, and there's so many that need homes. And I was looking for the right one. When you're considering a horse that is feral, it's got to have something special. And this one was actually, I have a friend, Allison Mazurkowitz. She's a working equitation instructor in Berthoud, and she just has a great nose for horses. She has excellent taste in horses, and so she referred this guy to me. She was like, "Hey, there's this Mustang who is being trained through the trainer incentive program," and she's like, "Yeah, you should check him out. He just seems really, really grounded." So they have to make a height requirement. Jousting horses do have to be over 15 hands as a safety thing. And so he's beautiful. He's very Andalusian-y, very the Spanish bloodline. So just dapple gray, mane for days. And but he's so, as far as brain goes, because I needed a good brain, he is super unflappable. He is not scared of anything. And so he's light and he has the movement, which I need. But he thinks. You see him thinking through stuff, and that's what I need in a jousting horse. It's not a great sport for very reactive horses, very hot horses. I would rather be on kind of a stolid mount any day of the week. So he'll check out the shield. You show him something once, and then he could care less about it. So
See,
pretty
that's
much bravery, guts.
That's good. I like the fact that you are looking for a thinking horse and that you can see a thinking horse when you know a thinking horse when you see one. You know, we always run into the problem though that then there are horses who think too much, like mine, who decides I think I want to go slower. I think I want to go eat the grass over here.
Opinionated is where you run into problems.
Or my driving pony who thinks he wants to bolt.
That is a problem.
So brains, height, obviously, because you can train the athleticism into them. You can train the skill set of jousting into them, but you can't really teach a horse how to think, right?
No, you can't. Yeah, you can't teach them to. That's a personality thing. And then the other three, I don't need to go in as depth with them, but one is they all belong to the owner of the facility where I work, and one is. His name is George, and he's a Belgian. So we do have a draft horse on the team. And he was an old plow horse who was rescued from slaughter and rehabilitated. And so I've been working with him over the past 10 months. And he loves the new job. And then we have Candy, who's a old ranch horse, quarter horse. And then Han Solo, who is a 10-year-old Mustang, who is he's completely unfazable. He's great for me to teach on because he'll just stand all day long, just like a good, trustworthy
Jedi.
I love the name. I love the name.
Oh my gosh, I mean,
well, you would expect a Jedi to be trustworthy, right? That's the idea. Of the Jedi. So now I've watched a lot of jousts, and I love watching the games. They at Renaissance fairs, Helena, they usually do the games. They play those in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then usually the last thing in the day is the big joust where they all get their armor on and go out. Now, I want to ask you where you get a suit of armor, because that's not something you see everywhere. But before we do that, I got to tell you a story. So we're in Pennsylvania. The worst fall I ever saw. Some people think, yes, it is choreographed when they get on the ground and do some of the sword fighting. Some of it's choreographed. They kind of plan it out a little bit, not giving away too much here. They do kind of plan it, but the hits are hits. And
absolutely.
They try and make it as safe as possible. The reason it is contemporary competitive jousting is we're really not fighting to the death anymore. We're not really killing anybody. So at least hopefully, but accidents happen like in anything else, and the hits do happen. The one day I saw these two going at each other, and we're just a normal joust, and we're just doing our thing as performers, and all the audience is there. And all of a sudden, he got hit, and it just hit him right underneath the breastplate. He had a ridge on his breastplate, and it caught him under there. And the end of this, the lances are supposed to break. They're wooden and they're supposed to break. Well, this one didn't break right. So what happened is it picked him right up off the horse, about 5 feet in the air, off his horse.
Yeah.
And put him down back first onto the post of the list. So he landed right on his back on the top of the post that holds the list up, the ropes and everything. And they did cart. He was fine. He went to the hospital, and he came back that day. But thankfully, the armor, he had, full armor in the back too. So that helped. But he sure did have the wind taken out of him. And it was the most dramatic thing I've ever seen in a joust. It's not something you want to do every day, right?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm kind of there's a jousting Chrissy. There's a jousting coach Chrissy who is very different from soft-spoken best friend Chrissy. And that's because when I am training people or running a practice, it is a life and death sport. It is very safe. Honestly, it's the safest sport I've ever done on a horse. If you do it right, if you have the right equipment and you're going against trained people who are ready for it, it can be extremely safe. And I like to think that all of us in the jousting community are adamant about that, because if you're not prepared and you screw up, you're not the one going to the hospital. It's the person you're jousting against. So it's a huge sport about camaraderie and trust, which is one of the reasons I love it so much. But yeah, when it comes to training, I don't mess around, because an inch of movement of the lance on my end translates to a foot of movement on the far end. And you can hit a lot of vital things when you're running 30 miles an hour at another person. And So yeah, it is a dangerous sport. There's a respect, a gravity that comes with it.
Wait a minute, Chrissy. This ruins Helena's plan because before we got you on, she was wanting to pick the people that she was jousting against for certain reasons. So that's not allowed?
Oh!
I can project. I can project.
We're not allowed to pick
our
opponents.
you can do that on your own time. If it's like a tournament, then, it's a tournament. You drop who you drop. But if you want to invite someone to your own personal death match, like that is... I'm not going to tell you can't.
Oh, there's been a few over the years.
I've done some scrappy field jousting in my day.
It's like a duel. Meet you in the back 40. Where do you buy a suit of armor, and what does that run?
All right, so armor, there's a lot of different flavors. Actually, my troop, the Knights of the Tempest, we are going on our first troop retreat this year, and what better way to celebrate than going to one of the best armorers in the nation right now, and it's Shark Armory, and they're located down near Tampa, Florida. And so there are armorers around the world that you can order armor from, and suits. Full suits, I hear $3,000 to $5,000 is typically what you're looking at, and you can break that down into parts. So good helmets tend to be a couple $100. There is an option if you're doing the lighter versions of jousting. Leather armor is a possibility. Every kind of jousting requires a good, safe helmet because you can't replace your brain. So that's got to be steel of a certain gauge, and but a lot of my jousters, we work in like padded cross-country vests, and then over that, armor grade hardened leather, because I'm an apprentice to a saddle maker here in Fort Collins. So I've been doing leather work for 2 years now. So I usually build any sort of leather armor that my riders need.
Were you ready, Helena?
Yep. Yep.
Get Brody out there. He's about that age.
Yep.
We'll get your pony out there doing this. I can
Brody
see
would love it because all you have to do is go straight with a purpose.
That's right.
It's true. That's why it's such a great sport for older horses and horses from all sorts of backgrounds.
They don't have to do those small turns, and their hocks are okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Where do you? Well, a couple questions before we let you go. Do you see this sport? Is it growing now? Is it getting more popular? I know mounted shooting is getting huge. Archery, mounted archery is getting huge. Right now, where is mounted jousting at this point?
Jousting. I like to think that it's growing, and because actually one of the goals that was instilled upon me by my coach, and one of my goals for the future, I'd love to see it as an Olympic sport. I would love to see light armor jousting make it to the Olympics. When you have things like speed walking and badminton.
Yeah, I was going to say it'd be more exciting than most of the sports.
Yeah, like I would love to see it added to the equestrian games. But I think for that to happen, there are a lot of things that need to happen for the sport. Standardization, and it has to grow. It has to have standards. It has to be judgeable in a way. And the movement is there, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm trying to grow the sport. That's why I'm teaching clinics, and yeah, it's interesting in the demographics who are jousters, because I show up to a lot of these tournaments, and most of them are men who could like lift me with one arm. And a lot of them have been jousting since before I was born. They've been jousting for longer than I've been alive, which is fantastic because the stories that these guys tell are amazing. My goal really is to bring in a lot of fresh blood. I don't want to see the sport die out. And so I'm in my 20s, so I want to bring in a bunch of new people, kind of share with them my doctrine of chivalry with them so that they can go and teach. And it's exciting because my students are now growing and have been with me years, so they're able to start teaching now. And what's exciting when I teach these clinics and the members of the troop who are learning from me, it's a lot of just BA young women who, I'm 115 pounds, 5'4", And so I'm a great example of
Helena,
if
you're right
I
in
can
there.
do it.
You can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's really nice I've got kind of when I throw events and have people show interest. Yeah, there's just it's a huge movement of young women who I'm like, if I can do it, you can do it. So it's exciting. I want to see it grow.
Well, Chrissy, where can they find your website? And also, if somebody wants to maybe find somebody in their area, is there a main website they can go to find a local jousting club or whatever?
Sure. Well, they can just contact me, and I will try to hook them up with whoever's in their area. It's a pretty small network, so we don't really have a Jousters R Us right now, unfortunately. But I'm more than happy to refer anyone based on their geographic location. If any listeners today are interested in checking out what I do and the Knights of the Tempest, what my troupe is about, Facebook is going to be your best bet. We've got all the social media, so facebook.com/Knights of the Tempest. And then we also have a website, www.knightsofThetempest.com. And we've got a YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter. Pretty much if you follow any of those links, that'll bring you to all of our social media websites.
Well, thank you, Chrissy. It's been a joy talking to you, and good luck with this. I hope this grows. And you know who I really could see doing this with you is Dr. Wendy, the host of the driving show, Helena. She would love this.
Totally into it.
She would love this, and she's about 5'2". I think she makes you look tall. So,
perfect.
But mighty. All right, thank you, Chrissy.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a great day.
Up next, it's our Tack and Habits segment, sponsored by Horse Lovers. We have longtime listener and auditor Celeste Hotze. Did I say that right? Hotze? No, Hotze.
No, it's Hotze.
It's Hotze. See, Glenn, you messed me up. She said it right.
I think it should
had
be
it in my head, and then you went and
Hotze
screwed
is
me all
perfect
up.
for Celeste, I think.
Hotze. It's Celeste Hotze, people. Okay, let's all get it right. And she's going to review. Well, first of all, I really like the Ovation brand, so I'm excited to hear her review. She is going to talk to us about the Ovation Ladies Athletica Euro Seat Rider Tights. And I don't know. Have at it, Celeste. Welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me. So, I got the Athletica. They're like a micro ribbed tights, and actually Ovation was nice enough to send me a full seat pair. I think the ones that were listed on the Horse Lovers website were knee patch, but I actually got full seats, which was fantastic. They're really comfortable. They the tag that came on them said something along the lines of like cool ribs. So I think they kind of market it as like a summer breech. I'd call it kind of a midweight breech. I don't know that I'd necessarily make it my go-to on the 100+ humidity days. But saying that, I did wear it a couple of days in the 90-ish range with some humidity and in the bright sunlight, and I was actually really comfortable. So they definitely do a good job there. I would say they're at least 3-season breeches. And with them being the full seat ones, I tested them out kind of in all aspects. I used them for some hacking. I used them for, I have a little project horse that I'm working with right now while my gelding is on a treatment. And he's just a real green OTTB that I took him for his first ever cross-country school on Sunday and wore him. And he was fantastic. But it was certainly nice to have the full seats just for the kind of squirmy, awkward first jumps over a few of the cross-country jumps. And the other friend that I was with, her horse was a real pain and actually dumped her and took off. And those full seats helped me sit through my horse having a royal breakdown about the other horse galloping off into nowhere and leaving him all by himself. So they definitely do help you stick to the saddle if you end up in a kind of funny situation like that. But all in all, I didn't have any real complaints. They're since they are tight, they're kind of like compression material, and I don't know that I would want to wear them from morning until night, or I might end up with little lines in my legs because they are actually pretty tight as far as just the part that sits right against your skin. But most of the seaming I felt like was really good. They fit true to size. I'm like 5'2" on a good day, so I got a small, and I felt like they were really comfortable, good sizing, and yeah, all in all, I definitely don't really have any complaints. I do like the Ovation brand. I have several other Ovation breeches that I've purchased myself. So I sort of assumed they were going to be the same nice quality that I've come to expect from Ovation, and I think they lived up to that expectation for sure.
Awesome. That's good. Because sometimes, you're like, did I just get lucky with this breech, or is the brand really kind of churning out some decent stuff? Because their price point is so good. They're really,
definitely.
You can't. Let's see, what are these listed at? These are listed at, come on, $54.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good.
Super reasonable, for sure.
Yeah.
And I have some of the other Ovation breeches that I've had, I don't know, a couple of years, I feel like, at least, and they really haven't even shown any wear and tear, other than the fact that, you're in the barn and you're picking scabs off your horse or whatever, and then you like wipe your finger on your pants and you have gross stains on your pants. But that's not a pants problem. That's a me problem, because I pick at things.
My washing machine is like permanently set to super hot, because I'm like, I don't know what's on my britches. I need to kill it. That's awesome. So the Ovation Ladies Athletica Euro Seat.
Can I just say that's
tights.
why we call her Hotsy, because Celeste is always bringing the sexy to the show. She's always bringing the sexy.
By talking about scabs
and
pus and all those fun things that happen
we can
when
count
you have
on you,
horses.
Celeste.
You're welcome, Glenn.
Oh, gosh.
Well, and I do want to clarify that the full seat like she got are $71. The Euro seat are like $50. So these are the right price. Well, you can find it at horselovers.com. Just search for Ovation Ladies Athletica full seat rider tights. And you can get them anywhere from extra small to large. And the colors are beige, black, and iron. Which appears to be a bluish color, I think.
Yeah, I got the iron, and they're like a blue gray. They're really pretty.
They look pretty in the picture. Are they really pretty?
Yeah, it's like a kind of like gunmetal or steely blue gray. I like it.
Oh, cool. That's a different color. So you can find that all over at horselovers.com. Thank you, Celeste, for doing this, and thank you for also being an auditor. We really appreciate you supporting the Horse Radio Network as much as you do.
No problem. I really appreciate getting the freebies and getting to review them with you guys.
Well, if you want to become an auditor and get free stuff to review, or just hang out in the auditor room where there's a ton of conversations going on, we also chat with the auditors. They're kind of like our focus group. We get feedback from them about the shows, and you can give feedback. And of course, the auditor money, half of it every month goes to support our hosts. So each month that amount goes up, and Helena gets a raise.
Thank you.
And that's also my way of not having to give her a raise. So please donate more, everybody. Just kidding, Helena. I was over on thatnewportshow.com, and you're up to episode 63 already. And I remember when this thing was a baby.
Yes. Yeah. A year and a half we're coming into. It's so much fun. We've met a lot of really wonderful people, and have, we do these dine and dish segments where we dine someplace and then we dish about it on the show. And I keep saying, like, every time we go to a restaurant, I'm like, surprise, surprise, the food was fabulous. I'm starting to think that our listeners are going to think that we're full of bullmarky, because I cannot believe how many amazing restaurants there are in Newport. I thought it was historic and it was charming and it was fun, but I had no idea it was actually a foodie restaurant mecca.
I think too, that's true across the country. I think because of the Food Network starting 25, 30 years ago, whenever it did.
Yeah, you're right.
And then all the diners, drive-ins, and dives, and all of those shows, don't you think overall that the whole country is getting more of that way? I'm not saying Newport's not exceptional. I'm just saying I think it's happening everywhere.
I think you're right.
But
I think you're right.
Newport's
food is becoming important.
Now, is it also, I'm not a seafood person, and I assume a lot of being Newport's right on the water, there's a lot of good seafood restaurants there.
there are a lot of good seafood restaurants, but there's like Mediterranean restaurants. There's really good Italian restaurants. There's amazing American bistro type food. There's, I just, there's a smokehouse. There's a couple of smokehouses, the burger bars that are popping up. There's a place called Winner Chicken Dinner, and these people do crazy good stuff with chicken. Who knew?
Winner Chicken Dinner. It's really called that?
Yeah.
Winner. I got to go there.
Winner is the name of the restaurant.
We need to go there next time we go up.
You don't have to ever touch fish when you're here, Glenn. There's plenty of burgers and steak places and chicken places and lots of vegan. I mean, you can pretty much go anywhere and get a gluten-free option or a vegan option. And so Buck and I are like, geez, we thought, maybe there would be a dozen or so restaurants that we could give 5 stars to. We're like, we got to change the format a little bit because every place we go has something that's out of this world. So now we have to start rating these restaurants on some other criteria. And the atmosphere is always great, especially in the summer when they throw the doors open and there's al fresco dining.
And I did see that you had a guest on episode 63, your latest episode, really talking about what's happening this summer in Newport.
Yes, Discover Newport is the nonprofit public relations arm of the city. And they're, if you're a travel writer for the New York Times, you're going to contact Discover Newport and find out where you should go and what you should do. And they're also the organization that makes sure that Newport is friendly to tourists and that tourists know about it. So the cruise ships that come in and travelers who are coming from out of town, that they have a safe and convenient way to get around. So Andrea McHugh is their marketing and PR person, and she is so much fun. And so she gave us the scoop this week.
Well, next time we come up, because I'm a big tennis buff and I've played tennis all my life, I've never been to the Tennis Hall of Fame, which is in Newport. So I want to do that next time we come up and then go to Harry's Bar and Burger.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know that if you come up in the Harry's Bar and Burger might not be ready until the end of summer. I know that it's under construction.
Oh, okay.
But we'll find you a nice big fat juicy burger. Don't you worry.
And when we did our honeymoon there, I don't know if I ever told the listeners this story. I think I told you this story. So we honeymooned in Newport. And that was 30 years ago now. I just love the houses because, we were into medieval and mansions and castles. So that obviously we love the mansions. So we went and did the mansion tours and everything. I had to go over that death-defying bridge to get there, the old death-defying bridge. It was straight up and had the grates at the top.
Yeah.
That just about killed me on my honeymoon. And then we get there and we go to this very nice restaurant downtown. I think this was the first day of our honeymoon there. We go to this very nice restaurant downtown. It was very good and had this very handsome waiter. I have never given as large a tip as I was forced to give that waiter that day. So we're on our honeymoon, and this good-looking guy is waiting on us. He did a good job. I must admit that, but Jennifer made me leave him $30. And I think the bill was like $50. So that should have been an indication, but we're still married 30 years later. So I don't know what that says on our honeymoon, but...
Oh, my God. You guys are so cute.
Now, if it had been a girl and I'd done that, I'd have been in trouble. I got to tell you.
Yes, sir.
There's a double standard that way, I must say. Double standard. Just saying. On behalf of all the horse husbands out there. ThatNewportShow.com. Check it out. It's very good. Her and Buck do a terrific job with it.
Thank you.
That's it for today. You can listen to all of our past episodes at stablescoop.com. Also, we completely redesigned the Horses in the Morning website, and Stable Scoop's on the list here to get done shortly. And we're going through them all. The old ones weren't real mobile friendly, so the new ones are. So hopefully we'll get the Stable Scoop here. That's my next one on my list. And you can listen. The easiest and simplest way to listen to all our shows is iOS or Android. Just go to the App Store and search for Horse Radio Network. Download the mobile app, and you're going to find that's the best way to listen to all 14 episodes or 14 different shows. Soon to be 17. We have 3 new shows starting over the next 2 months. So we'll tell you more about those as we go along. And that's it for me.
That is plenty, but there will be more next week. Until then, happy scooping.